Okay, well, that was, interesting. I'm just going to be dead honest in saying I was dreading reading this book. I've been advised from a lot of different sources to stay away from this book, and I've had some relatively bad experiences with John Peel's work in the past. I mean, the first red flag is on the front cover. All they've done is flip the Dalek round. The gun and sink plunger are the wrong way round. Okay, I need to stop nitpicking. I feel like this book does some bits well. I really like the battle scenes in the book, and it's actually quite refreshing to see. Davros is also written well. The Daleks are presented as these genius tacticians instead of boneheaded, war-hungry pepper pots. Oh, come on, you have to admit they look like pepper pots. At first, I really started to like this book. It had some strong opening war scenes and creates an engaging mystery when the Doctor shows up. The issue I have with this book is that what you get at the start is kind of just continued through the entire book. It seemed to drag on so much, especially towards the end, and I felt like there was a lot of padding, quite a lot of insert Dalek being blown up for the 100th time here kind of stuff, which can be cool, but after a while gets old and boring to read. So the author of this book was John Peel. John, where to start with you? Peel wormed his way into the Doctor Who franchise through writing stories for the Doctor Who monthly comic strip. At this time, Terry Nation, the creator of the Daleks, had sole rights to the Daleks and was very guarded with their license, as he was just not happy with the target novelizations that various authors published previously. He would later only let people he really trusted to do a good job use them in their books. This was where John Peel came in. Peel had co-written a book with Terry Nation, and they'd built up a pretty good relationship from then on, meaning pretty much all the Target novels and Dalek stories then on were written by him. It was natural to assume that Peel would be the first person to write the first ever original Dalek story in book form, and you can tell why there was only one other Dalek story in the entirety of the EDA range after this one. The story opens in a war-torn battlefield, with regular Daleks and Spider Daleks leading the assault on Thal troops. Yeah, apparently Spider Daleks are a thing now. The Thals escape the planet and blow it up completely, destroying hordes of Daleks behind them. Meanwhile, the Doctor is tinkering with the TARDIS again when suddenly he gets sucked into an old junking spaceship for the millionth time. This junk ship had also picked up a mysterious capsule, which we later find out contains Davros. Thal troops then intercept the ship and take command, the Daleks being close by on their tail. The Daleks, instead of outright destroying the ship, take the crew, Thals, the Doctor, and Sam all to Skaro. Yeah, it turns out Skaro wasn't in fact destroyed by the Hand of Omega in remembrance of the Daleks. Davros was deceived into thinking another planet close by was Skaro because reasons, which meant that the Doctor blew up the wrong planet, and he feels horrible about this. Davros is then put on trial as he is no longer considered pure, and the Prime Dalek, basically the leader of the Daleks, wants rid of him so he can have assured power over the Dalek Empire. Davros, however, finds that he still has supporters on Skaro and builds an army to fight the Prime Dalek. This leads to an all-out civil war on Skaro, whilst the Doctor, Sam, and the Thals are all trapped in a prison cell. They escape and come across a couple of traps left on Thal's ship, and even in the TARDIS, one being an entire Dalek factory in a small container that uses similar technology to the TARDIS's does, to fit everything inside. Yeah, it's lucky they found out about that before going back to Thal's space. The book ends with Davros losing the Civil War and being disintegrated by the Dalek Prime. However, I have my suspicions he was only teleported away in the last second rather than dying. Overall, I wasn't really that keen on this one. When reading the summary, the story sounds incredible, and the ideas were certainly intriguing. I just don't think they were executed very well. The plot really drags on, and you can tell some of these scenes were written in just to pad the book out. The book really builds up the Daleks having this incredible plan, which just isn't really delivered. Doctor, you know what the Daleks will do to us. I can't condemn my crew to Dalek slavery. I don't think it'll come to that, the Doctor replied enigmatically. This whole thing was a Dalek trap. They've got some grand strategy in mind. I think you've got a good chance for survival. And that grand strategy was what exactly? I mean, it was a devious plan to slip that factory on board the Thal ship, but to describe it as a grand strategy is a bit much. The Doctor might have been referring to the inner politics of the Daleks, which there was quite a lot of in this book. For example, the Daleks tricked Davros into thinking Skaro was actually destroyed, when in fact it wasn't. Basically, Peel wants us to believe that the Daleks moved Davros from his sleep after the events of Genesis of the Daleks to another planet nearby, which means Destiny of the Daleks was not actually taking place on Skaro. The book then goes on to describe a long, convoluted retcon of pretty much every Davros story. I would read you a quote of this, but Peel's explanation as to how Skaro is not destroyed and the Daleks' entire plan behind this literally spans a chapter, so I've just briefly summarised this point over the course of the video instead. Although, all you Moffat haters saying Skaro shouldn't exist in Asylum of the Daleks, I bet you've got your tail between your legs now. God, I hated that episode. To be honest with you, I should really start hating on these interludes, but 2 of the 3 were actually very thrilling. One was set on a planet run by robots ready for human colonization, but thanks to Daleks, the humans, they never came. The story then goes on to describe how the robots think and deal with the coming Dalek invasion. The aliens have identified as Daleks, Central Computer announced a moment later. They are known to be hostile to humans, and must therefore be removed from this planet. All Mechon units must guard the city and prepare for attack. Mechon 179 knew what the Daleks were from its memory banks. If it hadn't, it could simply have tapped into Central Computer and downloaded all the relevant data. As it was, there was no need. All Mechonoids knew about the Daleks, and the standard order was to dispose of them. To Mechon 179, this was no different from spraying the plants to eradicate bugs. It was simply a problem to be resolved. In the absence of direct orders from Central Computer, Mechon 179 considered the matter. The Daleks were all confined at the moment to the area around their ship. Staying here in its assigned house would not be an efficient use of resources. It opened up the domicile door automatically and then moved down the street towards the reported landing area. Dozens of other Mechonoids made the same logical decision and were emerging from other dwelling units. Together they moved through the streets. Mechon 179 had its laser cutter and flamethrower ready just in case they should be needed. All of the other Mechonoids had their own weapons held ready. I just love how they brought back the Mechonoids. Another one of these short stories was the Draconian space battle. This was also such an entrapping read and really made me turn the pages quickly to find out what happens. There's a lot of nerdy space battle tactics in this one, but as a self-proclaimed nerd, I find it so fascinating. Honestly, I could have read a whole book just of these stories. Until we got to the first interlude. Yeah, it has Dalek sharks. Yeah, I don't like them. Other than this blip, these short stories were amazing, and to be honest, I think you should probably get the book for these rather than the main plot. I literally haven't got anything more to say about the plot, as it was so dragged out and quite complex at times. I feel I've pretty much covered it. I think it says a lot that I have more to say about these interludes than the actual story, so I'm not really rating this one overly highly if I'm honest. Overall, I'm giving this book a 3 out of 10. If you're a hardcore fan of the Daleks, then you might be able to squeeze some enjoyment out of this book, but even then that will quickly go due to the excessive retconning of Dalek history. Anyway, that concludes today's book review. Please let me know your thoughts of this book, as this one, some people do like it, some people don't. Remember obviously to like and subscribe if you like the video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thanks a lot everyone.